Title: The echo of stolen laughter. The Victorian mansion stood atop the hill, a somber silhouette against the twilight sky. Its windows, like empty eyes, seemed to observe every movement, every breath. The locals called it the House of Lost Smiles, a name whispered with fear and superstition. I, a young journalist seeking the story that would launch me to stardom, ignored the warnings and ventured onto its grounds. The main door, weathered by time and neglect, yielded with a sepulchral creak. The interior was a labyrinth of dust and shadows. The air, thick and humid, smelled of mold and something sickly sweet that I couldn't immediately identify. As I advanced, I heard a distant murmur, a soft, tinkling melody that seemed to emanate from the depths of the house. Guided by the melody, I reached a room that chilled me to the bone. Towering shelves lined the walls, filled with glass jars. Each jar contained a smile, a luminous and ethereal grin suspended in an amber liquid. The smiles glowed with a light of their own, pulsating in unison like a chorus of happy specters. It was the most beautiful and terrifying vision I had ever witnessed. The melody intensified, an angelic song distorted by an underlying note of madness. It was then that I saw him. A child, no older than 10, sat on a stool in front of one of the shelves. His face was pale and angelic, with large, bright eyes that reflected the light of the bottled smiles. He wore a wide, perpetual smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Welcome," the child said, his voice sweet and melodious, almost unreal. "I am the caretaker of the smiles." I tried to speak, but my voice caught in my throat. I was paralyzed by fear and fascination. The child rose from the stool and approached me, his smile never faltering. "Your smile is the most beautiful I have ever seen," he said, his voice now a soft and persuasive whisper. "It would be a wonderful addition to my collection." I recoiled, feeling a shiver run down my spine. I understood, with a piercing horror, the truth behind the legends. The child was the collector of smiles, a twisted being who stole the joy of his victims and locked it away for eternity. "No," I managed to say, my voice trembling. "Stay away from me." "Don't worry," the child said, his voice becoming almost hypnotic. "It won't hurt much. And your smile will be happy here, surrounded by other beautiful smiles." I ran. I ran as fast as my legs would carry me, stumbling and falling in the darkness of the mansion. The sound of the jars tinkling and the macabre melody pursued me with every step. I felt the child's presence close, his cold breath on my neck. I reached the front door and threw it open, escaping into the dark night. I ran down the driveway, without looking back, until I reached the town. I took refuge in the first tavern I found and collapsed into a chair, trembling and sweating. I told my story to the patrons, but no one believed me. They said I was crazy, that I had drunk too much. They looked at me with pity and skepticism. But I knew what I had seen. I knew that the collector of smiles was real. I decided to return to my city and write about what happened. But something was wrong. I couldn't concentrate, I felt empty and strange. One day, looking in the mirror, I noticed something terrible. My smile had disappeared. I could no longer smile, not even force a grimace. My face was a mask of sadness and despair. I understood then that the collector of smiles not only stole the smiles of his victims but also their ability to feel joy. He had stolen more than just a facial expression. He had stolen my soul. Now I live with the constant terror that the child will return for my bottled smile. Every night, I hear the echo of stolen laughter, the macabre melody that reminds me of my loss. And I know, with a chilling certainty, that I will never be happy again. But the worst thing of all is that, sometimes, when I meet smiling people, I feel a pang of envy and an uncontrollable desire to possess their joy. I wonder if, deep down, I am becoming the monster I so fear. I live with the constant fear that one day, drawn by the brilliance of someone else's smile, I will return to the Victorian mansion and join the chorus of bottled smiles. And perhaps, just perhaps, at that moment, I will recover the joy I lost. But at what price? The house is still there, on the hill, waiting for its next victim. And the collector of smiles continues to sing his macabre melody, luring the unwary with the promise of eternal happiness. Be careful with your smile. It may be the only thing that separates you from the darkness.